I will call the meeting to order for the Thursday, June 11th meeting of the New Rochelle Public Library Board of Trustees. We have a quorum here with the exception of one of our members has an excused absence, but we do have a full quorum. And so I will ask us to start, and there's an attendance sheet going around. So I will ask us to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's no need for an executive session, so I am going to make a motion to adopt the meeting agenda. The meeting agenda tonight includes an addition of a report out from the nominating committee that will happen during the board committee reports. At the end of the board committee reports, that is the only change to the agenda this evening. And so I'm going to make a motion to adopt the meeting agenda as presented with that one change. And I'm asking for a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Tatiana. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes. Moving to our secretary for the approval of minutes.
We have two sets of minutes that were sent to the board ahead of this meeting and so the first one is the meeting minutes for our Thursday, May 12th regular board meeting. And so I'll make a motion for the board to approve the minutes.
Great, there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the May 12th board meeting. May I get a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Vera. Any questions or discussion? No, all right. I will ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Moving to the next.
Yep, second set of minutes is from our special board meeting on June 4th. Meeting minutes were shared ahead of time, and so I'll make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from Thursday, June 4th.
Okay, this is for the special meeting on June 4th. Motion on the floor. May I get a second, please? Seconded by Corey. Any questions or discussion? And just for public record, the meetings are public, but just to formally note that this was an adjustment to the board bylaws and a revision to the bylaws. All right, there's a second by Corey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Rhiannon. We'll move on to regular business with a report out for the Westchester Library System by our representative, David Minner. David.
Hi, good evening. In terms of the public library construction aid, good news was additional funds were reallocated to WLS member libraries because we received an additional $78,284 in public library construction aid for the 038626 project applications because other public library systems were not able to fully utilize the allocations. 5 library systems are eligible to receive more than 50% match, including New Rochelle Public Library, which was excellent. And New Rochelle Public Library received an additional $15,657 with the project total allocation of $111,907, which is excellent. So fortuitous. In terms of trustee education opportunities, there are several sessions. There's one on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 on laws and regulations. Thursday, October 29, 2026, duties and responsibilities of key officer roles. WLS has also partnered with the Ramampo Catskills Library System to offer additional attorney-led focused online education sessions on a range of topics that may be of interest. Today, there was a session on supporting social services at the library. On August 13th, there's a session on grants and external funding. And October 29th, there's a session on civil service.
Okay. Thank you, David. Any questions? Anyone for David? Just as a reminder, these are really helpful sessions, and we already know that the presenter is somebody who knows her stuff, given that it is Cole Adams. So important to consider and remember for that. Okay, thank you, David. So now we're moving on to the president's report. This is the first meeting of the board since our May 19th budget and board vote, since Election Day, essentially. And that was such a wonderful day. And so I first just want to thank all of the voters from New Rochelle. I want to thank the New Rochelle community. I want to thank all of those who came out to support the budget and the bond. Both were incredibly important, and both passed by large margins, which really shows the importance of this library to this community. It was a 72% approval of the $55 million capital improvement bond and more than a 70% approval of our budget. Special thanks to everyone on the board, especially our finance committee chair, Rhiannon, who did a lot of work on the ground to educate the public and get the word out about the bond. Of course, to our director, Eugenia, for leading the library and for having such a robust information session, and for the community each time we came out. To Tim Idoni, Lisa Burton, and Jimena Francella for providing your voices of support in the various op-eds that were written and published, and to all the community groups and leaders who continued to support the bond and the budget, including those from the Friends of New Rochelle Public Library and from the foundation. So I wanted to thank you for that. I also have a certification of the results. It is a resolution, and I'm going to read it and then make a motion. Resolved that it's resolution number 2026-0601. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the New Rochelle Public Library hereby amends its proceedings and ratifies that the following: that the board acknowledges receipt of the 2026-2027 trustee election results as certified by the election officials appointed by the district, that Lucille Renwick, as the library trustee candidate receiving the highest number of votes cast, is elected to a 5-year term commencing on July 1st, 2026 and ending on June 30th, 2031.
Whoa.
Okay. It's interesting hearing that out loud. Be it further resolved that the board acknowledges the receipt of the 2026-2027 budget vote results as certified by the election officials appointed by the district in the total amount of $7,665,330. I will make a motion for approval of this resolution. May I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Falah. Any questions or discussion? All right, I will ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Also want to note that the Library Foundation has a new prospective member of its board. Her name is Danica Kasmer. She has a longstanding career in change management, and is fairly involved in New Rochelle. I will ask Rhiannon, who has knowledge of Danica, to share a little bit more about her before we make a motion.
Yeah, I mean, I think you already mentioned that she has a lot of involvement in New Rochelle. She has also volunteered with the foundation already, and provided some of her expertise in past projects. And so it was kind of a natural transition fit to ask her to become an official board member for the foundation. They're very excited to have her and continue to use her for her talents. And so I'm in favor of her being added to the foundation board.
Okay, Thank you. Thanks for the context for that. All right, so I will make a motion for the approval of Danica Casmer to be added to the board of the New Rochelle Public Library Foundation. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rhiannon. Any questions or discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes, and that is the end of the president's report. Thank you. On to the director.
Hi, good evening. So I wanted to update everyone on some recent developments at the library. So as summer begins and as this heat begins, we are once again a cooling center. So we have an MOU with the city of New Rochelle and have been actually activated as a cooling center for today and tomorrow, given the high temperatures. So we love being able to provide a safe, cool space for members of our community to cool off with these really inhospitable temperatures. We have had several physical changes on the first floor of the library. We created a new flexible program space in the lobby that is primarily going to be used for children's programming, but also for community events. We launched a new welcome desk, combining circulation and information services into a single service point to really make it easier for patrons to be able to get assistance right as soon as they're entering into the building. It is reflective of us really intending to make the library more welcoming and responsive to our entire community. I personally wanted to thank everybody, the entire community, for both the support of the library budget and the library bond referendum. This successful vote enables us to move ahead with all of the planning and the community engagement that we promised to you. And stay tuned, because we're going to continue to be in contact with each and every one of you through our email newsletter, through regular updates at board meetings, as well as a comprehensive engagement initiative that we're embarking upon, wherein we're going to be having focus groups, we're going to be having several events, as well as a large community breakfast, which the Community Relations Committee will detail a little bit more. But as I said, community engagement is really going to be the major focus, including a survey. And we really ask that each of you participate. It helps with all of the planning and the choices that we're making moving forward, not only for the main library, but also for our Huguenot Children's Library. Finally, I just wanted to, I said it already, I'll say it again. Thank you. The vote of confidence really is something that I take very, very seriously. And the fact that the community has entrusted us with this project and gave us the green light and the go-ahead to proceed with this once in a generation beautification and reimagination of what our library can be. I'm very honored and very excited to be able to serve you as we move this project forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Eugenia. Oh, excuse me, sorry. All right, we will move on to the treasurer's report. And at this time, we do not have that in place. So with respect to this item, we must note that the office treasurer is currently vacant. So there, at this moment in time, there's no report to review. And the board is moving forward to appoint a treasurer. And per the bylaws, the treasurer is a part-time appointee who serves at the pleasure of the board, as well as a sworn officer of the corporation. This is an important position. And we look forward to actually having a treasurer in place very soon. Moving on to board committee reports, Budget and Finance Committee. Rhea?
The Budget and Finance Committee met on May 27th at 8:30 a.m. We discussed several topics, and to Lucille's point just now, the treasurer update is that the committee had previously recommended to the full board that the library engage with Rocky Smith for treasury services, and that the board appoint a member of the board to serve as treasurer. Rocky Smith is the firm that currently is conducting the claims auditing services for the school district, and the library will continue to work with them at least through the new fiscal year and the fiscal separation process, and until we're comfortable and confident in the transition. But the model that the committee is recommending and that we've discussed with the board is one that's similar to or identical to use the arrangement by the Chappaqua Library. That is also one of the very few public school libraries in Westchester County. And under this model, the board is going to approve a trustee as finance officer, who will also be the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. While Rocky Smith will provide treasury services, and an actual employee of Rocky Smith will be sworn in as our treasurer. The financial officer will sign checks, while Rocky Smith is going to report directly to them and provide bank reconciliation, budget reporting, check and warrant registers, and related financial documentation for review and approval. During the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, we reviewed the engagement letter and the proposed fees, the fee structure from Rocky Smith, and Eugenia is currently working on finalizing the scope, which we should receive in the next couple of days, and we'll share with the full board. The bylaws, the New Rochelle Public Library bylaws, have been amended to reflect this new treasury model. And they were approved at the special board meeting on June 4th. So that is it on treasurer update. Separately, we are retaining a financial advisor that is going to assist the library with everything bond related in our relationship with the school district. And we are going to, now that the bond has passed, and we're moving forward with planning out the details, and we're going to engage with this financial advisor in July. And then we will work side by side with them to have their support throughout the bond process. Fiscal policies. The fiscal policies, which is an extensive document, has been finalized. I shared the latest version with the board that included all the appendices with the board for review. And so I now have a resolution I would like to read, and I would like to ask the board to approve. There is, I don't think, a number for this resolution. I don't think I have a number, so I'm just going to read it. Whereas the library has amended its bylaws to create a fiscal officer trustee position, and whereas the library is contracting with a qualified individual to serve as treasurer per Section 8 of the bylaws, and whereas the library, having made such changes, it must adjust its internal controls to reflect the structure. Be it resolved that the board adopts the fiscal policies and internal controls presented effective immediately, and be it further resolved that the board shall seek guidance from its retained accountants, treasurer, and others to reconsider and amend the fiscal policies and internal controls as needed. I just want to note that because these fiscal policies have been kind of worked on primarily in the Budget and Finance Committee. Mm-hmm. Eugenia and our financial advisor, Michael, have finalized them. And that's why this is coming out of the Budget and Finance Committee versus the Policy Committee. So I am making a motion to pass the resolution that I just read.
Perfect. Would you like to read it again?
Do you want me to read it?
Oh, no. All right, thank you. There is a motion on the floor to pass the very robust and detailed fiscal policies. May I get a second? Seconded by Corey. Opening the floor to any discussion or questions. What I will say is that we have been talking about and working on these for months, and take very seriously the importance of having fiscal policies. It has been just a real lift for Eugenia, for the Michael Cassengate in his help to move this forward and working with council. So first, Eugenia, I would like to thank you for all of the work and the time that you put into this, because it is a lot on top of your regular duties, and we could not have gotten this far. It is so important to have, a fiscal responsibility that is one of the primary responsibilities of being on the board and being on the board and being a board trustee, and having these policies in place are critically important as we move forward and mature. And this is part of the maturity of this library and how it works in its operations, and the continued improvement of how we function as a board. I also want to thank Rhiannon for your leadership on the Finance Committee and all of the Finance Committee's work to continue to move this forward, and your review. That takes a lot of time, and as we are all volunteers, that is a lot of volunteer hours put in place to make sure that this happens. So I wanted to thank you for that. Any other questions or discussion?
I just wanted to ask, are we passing the appendices at this time?
All
Yes.
that's included
Okay.
with the full. Right. All right. Hearing no other further discussions or questions, I will ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Have
Thank
fiscal
you for
policies.
that.
Thank you.
And these will be posted on the website. So anyone who's really interested in reading tens of pages of fiscal policy, have at it. But it is actually exciting because we really thought everything through into the finest detail, and they're going to be humming away with our fiscal operations here. Last thing I want to mention is the transition to become financially independent from the school district is happening. And so our fiscal year begins July 1st, and we are situated to be fully independent from the school district financially by July 1st, which is really exciting. It's the first time this has happened for the library. Thanks again to Eugenia for all of our hard work to make that happen. And we are re-engaging, or we're constantly engaging with the school district to work out all the details of what the transition looks like. But we will be ready and in place to take custody of our own funds for the first time this year. So that's very exciting.
It's a very exciting time for the
Yeah,
board.
and the Budget and Finance Committee meets again on June 24th at 8:30 a.m. That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, Rhiannon.
Well-
Moving on to the Buildings and Grounds Committee, Corey.
All right, great. I get it. Before I start on, thank you for the work you've done, Rhiannon. I think that it's important that we're custodians now of our finances, which is very important for the entire trustee. And the library community should know that we're actually managing our own dollars, which is great. Thank you for everything. Buildings and Grounds. So Buildings and Grounds met June 5th, 2026 at 8:31 with Vera Salter, Lucille Renwick, and Eugenia Shatoff. Several important items related to both current facility projects and implementation of the recently approved bond. One of the most important things we talked about is the Children's Garden Phase 2 project, and received an update from Eugenia on Phase 2 and how that project's moving ahead. Proposed improvements include a new accessible pathway, native plantings, fencing, outdoor seating, and educational and musical elements designed to support both children's programming and community use of the space as well, which is important because we've invested in that area. And so to have it be used for the entire community versus just the children, we think is a great opportunity. Thank you for that, Eugenia. Committee supports moving this forward with planning and anticipates implementation later this year following coordination with the broader facility planning activities that are currently underway. We also discussed the bond and master facility planning. Committee discussed the next steps following voter approval of the bond. As implementation begins, we are already incurring project-related soft costs, including legal, financial advisory, estimating, and planning services. The committee recommends that the bond-related expenditures be tracked separately and reported regularly to the board to ensure transparency and proper oversight. We also review the timeline for development of the master facility plan. Current goals include sharing the facility plan framework with the community this fall and moving towards architect selection by early 2027. Trustee education and project roadmap. The committee discussed the need for all board members to be educated on the bond process, bond anticipation notes, financial governance, and the library's relationship to the school district when it comes to executing the bond anticipation note. Many of these projects are complex and will span several years. So we would like all the trustees to be up to speed on what's happening with the bonds as they relate to the buildings and grounds work that's being done to improve the library. Committee is also awaiting the results of the user experience study and space audit, which we just received today. Once received, those findings will be shared with the board and incorporated into future facility planning discussions. In closing, the committee remains focused on maintaining transparency, strengthening governance, and ensuring that both the Children's Garden Project and the bond-funded facility planning process moves forward in a thoughtful and fiscally responsible manner. Thank you. And that is it for the buildings and grounds.
Great. Thank you, Corey. Any questions, Corey? Okay, thank you. Moving on to community relations, Vera.
The Community Relations Committee met on Monday, June 1st. Present were myself, Nancy Weinberger, Fela Cortez, Tatiana Infante, Eugenia Shadoff, Kathleen Soul from Lothrop Architects, and Margaret Sullivan from Margaret Sullivan Studios. I called the meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. I think we're very excited about the community outreach part of the architectural process. The main part of the meeting was discussing the community breakfast, which will be held on Wednesday, July 15th from 8 to 10:30 a.m. And I know that the invitations went out today, and that was very exciting to see them. We've invited a lot of people. The proposals are out for round tables and chairs, catering of a fairly robust breakfast, so it's going to be a great event. And so yeah, the invitations have gone out, and Margaret Sullivan shared the agenda for the session, which will include an introduction to the vision planning process and interactive exercises with the participants. So it's going to be really exciting because we could be able to get the ideas of community members for what the future of the library should be like. We also discussed the community survey, which I think has been sent to all board members for their input. It's going to be a very widely distributed survey, and we look forward to seeing the analysis of that. We also discussed observations, focus groups, and additional outreach that Margaret Sullivan's studio will do. And we're hearing great feedback of how the consultants are responding to our suggestions. So the meeting was adjourned at 10:15 a.m. and the next meeting will be on July 6th.
Thank you, Vera. Moving on to the policy committee. Paula.
Thank you. Prior to sharing the policy committee report, I just like to add my gratitude to the officers of the board, our incredible, amazing president, Lucille Renwick, our vice president, Corey Galloway, who's worked on the bond for many years, and our secretary, Rhiannon Nevin, who worked tirelessly on the bond. None of this could have been done without the work of the executive director Shatoff and her team, my fellow trustees, and the community members that volunteered their time and advocated for the bond. So I'm adding my thanks. Thank you so much. The policy committee met on Tuesday, May the 26th, due to Memorial Day falling on a Monday. The focus of our meeting was to review the trustee bylaws. The policy committee noted recommendations to these amendments to the bylaws. Our attorney shared a resolution regarding these recommended amendments, and the policy committee updated that resolution. The final resolution was later shared with the full board and voted on during a special board meeting on June the 4th. The resolution and resulting amended bylaws passed by unanimous vote of the board on June the 4th. And those amendments included changes to the bylaws in section 5, which is the board officers, section 6, the committees, and section 8, the treasurer role. I would like to include the resolution and an updated copy of the bylaws for the record. I'm going to also add on to what Chair of the Finance Committee said about the financial policies, and thank both the Finance Committee and Executive Director Shatov for their work on those financial policies. There are a lot. During the next policy committee meeting on Monday, June the 22nd at 9 a.m., we're going to be doing a review of the policies passed, things that are still outstanding that we'd like to attend to, and discuss again the programming policy tabling and facilities rental, which now that the bond is passed, the budget has been passed, and the financial policies have also been passed, we will get back to that work. And finally, because I guess I can't express enough gratitude, I will say thank you to the members of the policy committee. Thank you so much for your work, and Director Shatov and the staff at the library for your commitment to revising and creating policy, which we all know is an invaluable tool. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Fola. On to the, let me just make one note before we move on to the, one note before we, oh.
She's saying that she's fine.
She's sorry. That there was a lot of work that went into the bylaws, into the revision of the bylaws. There was a lot of due diligence, a lot of thought, a lot of review. And I want to thank you for the time and effort and really thoroughness that you provided in your leadership and revising them and making sure that they were accurate. So thank you to you, and thank you to the entire policy committee for taking that on and making sure that it was accurate and improved. Okay, moving on to the Personnel Committee. Tatiana.
The Personnel Committee met on May 18th, and we discussed several updates. With that, I would like to move that the board approve the consent agenda for personal resolutions number 202606, 1 through 67, according to the recommended action for each item. Just all the board members get this ahead of time, so everybody was able to review. And this is for the COLA, for the increases.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor to approve its resolution 202606 from 1 to 67 for COLA increases according to the recommended action for each item that was provided to the board in the board packet prior to the meeting. May I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rhiannon. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes. Thank you.
Our next meeting is Monday, June 15th. It's our last meeting of this year, 2026, at 9 a.m.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Tatiana. And next is the nominating committee. Tatiana, who's present? Tatiana.
Yep. So the nominating committee composed by Fola Cortez, Vieira, Salter, and myself, we met on June 10th, 2026 to select the board officers for the term beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending in June 30, 2027. On behalf of the committee, I am pleased to present the following nominations. For Rhiannon Nevin for president, Vieira Salter for vice president, Nancy Weinberger for secretary, and Corey Galloway for finance officer. I would like to specifically note that the position of finance officer is newly established officer position that becomes effective on July 1st, 2026. This marks the first time that the board will have a dedicated finance officer as part of its leadership structure, reflecting that the board's commitment to strong financial oversight and governance. So at this time, I move that the board accept the nominating committee's recommendations and elect the following officers for 2026-2027 term. Rhiannon Navin, President, Piera Salter as Vice President, Nancy Weinberger for Secretary, and Corey Galloway as Finance Officer.
Great, thank you. So we have the nominations on the floor. I will not repeat them as Tatiana has already. May I get a second, please? Seconded by Corey, and open the floor to any questions or discussion, and I'll just jump in. So one, I just wanted to thank the nominating committee. I know that you discussed this quite a bit for more than just one meeting for several weeks, and really took a lot of different things into account as you thought about the future leadership for this next year. This is a really important year for the library and for the board as we start putting so many pieces in place around the bond, around becoming greater custodians. I have to say that I am delighted to have Corey serve as our very first finance officer, not just because of his longevity on the board, but also because of the understanding that he brings and continues to bring in terms of his vision around that. And I am more than delighted to pass this gavel on to Rhiannon Navin as our new incoming president. I have every bit of confidence that this board will be even stronger under your leadership. So we have a second on the floor. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Should I hit the gavel? No. I did not recognize Vera as the next vice president, which I think is going to be wonderful, and a lot of energy that you bring in and thoughtfulness. And in absentia, Nancy is the incoming secretary. So looking forward to a new slate of officers, and I think it'll be very exciting for us kind of going forward. Okay, I am going to move for the back to Rhiannon for the approval of checks and warrants.
Yeah. I am making a motion to approve the consent agenda for checks and warrants for the fiscal year 2025-2026, warrants number 43, 44, 45, and 46.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for the consent agenda for the checks and warrants 43 through 46. May I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Seconded by Tatiana. Any questions, discussion? No. Okay. All right, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, okay. Do we have any additional resolutions? All right. There is no old business, nor is there new business on the floor. All right, so I will move to public comment. Seeing none, I will then call for adjournment of this meeting of June 2nd. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, wait, we'll call for that vote again. All right, it was seconded by Vera for adjournment of the meeting. You all can stay here if you want. So let's try that again. We have a second by Vera for adjournment of this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. It is 8:09 p.m. We are calling the meeting to close. Thank you. Thank you again to everyone, and have a good night.